where you were born, and your name of your dad and your mother and your grandfather, and about those people, okay?
Okay. You say when?
No, just go ahead. He's checking us out.
Oh, I see.
You talk to me.
Well, I was born in Harrisville, West Virginia, in Ritchie County, and it's in the western part of the state. And my father was the Reverend W. Walter I. Pritchard, and my mother was Jessie Lee Jordan Pritchard. And the doctor was Dr. Rex Road. And I was born about 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right. And your grandfather?
My grandfather was Thomas Pritchard. And my mother was Amanda.
You're right. And your grandfather and grandmother are buried in the oak.
They're buried in the White Oak
Yes.
Cemetery.
Right.
Out of Pennsboro, West Virginia, but it's the little town of Pullman. Pullman is the closest little town. Well, it is so small that it just has a store, and I think it has a post office.
You and I were there.
Yeah, right.
In
Pullman.
75 or 76.
Yeah. And
it's on the property. It just joins the property of the Irelands.
Well, they bought the old Pritchard, the old Pritchard farm.
Right.
And then he also bought his mother's, which his mother, the Clayton,
right,
was. And he bought that farm.
And your dad is at.
My father is buried in West Virginia in the Masonic Cemetery.
Right at the intersection of the freeway, on the way to Buchanan.
On the way to Buchanan.
Right.
And his 2 brothers are buried right there in the same lot.
Yeah, Frank?
No, Judson.
Judson.
Reverend Judson Pritchard, and Bushrod Pritchard. The brother next to him was named Uncle Bush.
Right.
We called him Uncle Bush.
Right, you and I went over to visit. Well, we went over to visit. Mark, I believe, was with us. My son Mark.
Yeah.
And when we were living in Manassas, Virginia.
Yeah.
When I was superintendent in Prince William County.
Yeah.
Your mother is buried in the.
My mother is buried in Bellevue.
Bellevue, Washington.
And I'd have to get out the name. You know where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's. And Tori is buried right beside her.
Right.
And I think Lee and Otis have a couple lots there.
Mm-hmm.
Now my mother's father was Adonijah Jordan, and I had the privilege of showing Lucinda some of the books of where Captain Samson Snyder and my grandfather was in the same company, which is unusual. And then for Milton and I to get married.
Right. Where were you married?
Oh, Milton and I were married.
Milton Cooper
Snyder and I were married June the 22nd, 1925, at the Methodist Church in Lewiston, Idaho. And my mother, Jessie Lee Pritchard, was with us.
Oh, she was?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Grandpa J.W. wasn't with you?
Oh, no.
No.
Didn't know him then.
But it was at the Methodist Church?
At the Methodist Church. And the second time I was married is March the 10th, 1944, still at the Methodist Church.
Methodist Church, huh?
Different ministers, of course.
Right.
But,
your second marriage?
my second marriage.
Married Albert R. Sterling.
Albert R. Sterling, March the 10th. And
who's right here?
yeah, there he is.
Here he comes, yeah.
Come on over and sit down.
Here comes.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. You are on the tape, dear. Come on, do it.
Yeah, sit right
Sit right next to
beside
Your
her.
wife.
And he was born in,
Well, Mark should show who the official television photographer is. You should get yourself in this section.
Okay,
Yeah, right.
I'll come in.
Mark Albert Snyder was named after Albert R. Sterling.
I'll sit right next to him. I have some room here.
Yeah,
I'll just
Okay.
come
and,
in for a second.
say it, Al.
Oh.
And this is my namesake, Mark Albert. Say it.
This is my namesake,
Mark.
Mark Albert Snyder.
That's right. We have 3 generations here.
Right, yeah. Give it to life.
Okay, well, again, your sisters and brothers, did you name them?
No, for me?
Yeah.
No, I didn't name him.
Why don't you start with the oldest?
The oldest one was
I'll be back in a second.
Tallahassee, and she only lived about 3 months, and she's buried in the Oxford Cemetery, out of Pullman.
Out of Pullman, huh?
Out of Pullman, and then Castle Cowden was the next one, and then I was born. I was the 3rd one, and then Torrey, Isaac.
Right.
And then, just a minute here, Heisel. Heisel was born, and she only lived about 3 months. And she's buried in that Oxford Cemetery.
In Oxford,
Yeah, West Virginia.
near Pullman.
Wait,
It's near Pullman.
can we? Craig's coming in. I think I see
Oh, yeah,
Craig
we have to
now.
introduce Craig.
Oh, yes.
Here's Craig.
Cooper.
And,
Wow.
yes.
Craig Cooper Snyder.
And
It's great to be here, too.
the grandson,
My half from childhood.
number 2, right? Craig Cooper Snyder, right? You
Right.
guys can do some of the talking, please.
That's right, well, we are.
Well.
That's
Kid with a small hat on, I don't know that he can talk.
Da-da.
I thought I'd add a little humor to this conversation.
Craig's a teacher.
I'm
Yeah.
a teacher in,
Born,
born in
Craig and I are brothers.
brothers, long distance
we're-
brothers.
He's my son. This is
Son
for
number
the
2.
future.
Yeah.
3 or 4
In
generations.
case you're
from now,
wondering whether we know what's going on
Craig,
here,
you
we
realize-
do know what's going on.
that your grandson.
Dad knows that I'm his son. I know that he's my father. We're kidding.
You realize that your grandson could see this?
Yeah, right.
We'll say hi to your grandson. Or your great-grandson. That's how long it should hold.
Oh, yeah, great.
You can really see me now.
That's right.
Forget it. It's not
Well,
real.
we see these pictures of individuals, and it's 100, 200 years later.
Right.
This one will.
Kind of scary,
hold
isn't it?
that long.
And you know, yeah, and your glasses always looks funny. They change styles.
Oh, yes. Well, we
They
take off our
change
glasses.
style.
I discarded my glasses 10 years ago. Contact.
And
Style conscious.
The kid with the good-looking mustache on is my son.
number 2.
Number 2.
I can count to 2. I'm number 2.
That's right.
Number 3 is taking all of this, recording it.
It's better than number 1, for sure.
And number 4, Matthew, is in California.
at number 3. I guess I'd like to come in and
Yeah,
maybe
right.
Craig could
You want to
replace
set
me.
it here by me?
Well, why doesn't Mark over there, and I'll go, I have to go check on the laundry.
Okay. So check out
I guess
the-
life does go on, even though we're taping forever.
Okay,
What
Mark.
else? Oh, your dad,
Just
when
sit
you were
down.
born.
Tell who you are, Mark.
Oh, I've already been represented. I'm Mark Snyder. I'm the son of Milton and the grandson of
You have your middle name
Nana.
from Capital
Yeah, okay.
Albert.
Yes.
Where was your dad minister when you were born?
Harrisville, West Virginia.
Huh?
Yeah, he was the
When you-
minister there then, when I was born. Because, see, I'm the 3rd child, and he was preaching when he met my mother up at Gladwin, right out of Harmon. That's where he met her, you know, because her dad had a farm there, too. And I suppose he was holding meetings, and they all come to the meetings, and there was 3 girls of them, just about a year's difference. So why he picked,
Okay, and then when you left, when you were in were with them in Southern Illinois
Yeah,
when you left home?
yeah. I was at Grand Tower, Illinois.
Grand Tower.
Grand Tower, Illinois.
And your dad was what? What was
He's a
he doing?
minister there.
A minister?
Yeah,
So you left Grand Tower and went where?
Lincoln, Nebraska. And Tori and I. And then I stayed there in Lincoln. I took some courses at the University of Nebraska. That's where I got my writing from. And then to Idaho.
And you were working where?
Miller and Payne's
Department store.
in a big 10 stories
When you
department store.
when you moved to Idaho out west,
Yeah.
did you move from St. Louis? Is that
I came from Lincoln, Nebraska,
Lincoln, Nebraska?
on a train.
Tell us about the trip.
All right, I took the train out of
Uh-huh.
Lincoln, and of course I'm just a teenager, remember?
Uh-huh.
And so my friends had me a reservation at the YWCA in Spokane, because they said that's one of the first cities in the United States that Chinamen are so. So I stayed on, got off there, stayed off there, and took the train the next morning, and I called it Weepy, but it's Wee-Eye. Well, and I had my ticket for Greer.
Uh-huh.
And so they said, well, you must not get off in Greer, you get off in Orfino because there's no place for you to stay all night in Greer.
Uh-huh.
So I got off in Orfino, and there was a stage driver there. We called it a stage. He just had a touring automobile. Carl Pease was driving it, and he said, and so I was real leery about him going to go to Weeack in that their car. And he said, now I'll take you by and show you your uncle. He says, I know your uncle's land and his family. So he drove me by.
Zen Jordan.
Then Jordan, yeah. He drove me by, and here was Zella.
That was in Orfino?
In Orfino. Here was Zella and Harold out in the yard.
Uh-huh.
I had pictures of them.
When you had arrived, they were
Yeah,
there.
I mean, he drove by and he said, now here's where Zan lives.
I see.
My Uncle Zan owned a barber shop in Orfino. And so then I wasn't
Now,
afraid to
Dad, my dad, your son Milton, he was born near
He was born in Weeack on the Lobo Ranch.
outside, or
Yeah,
in essence,
yeah.
Okay, let me take the trip up.
Up the Greer Grade.
Yes. And where did you go and where did you stay?
Well, my mother was there by that time. Her folks were all in Weeack.
Jesse.
Yeah. So, went up that Greer Grade, and I'll tell you now,
That was in what year?
1924.
1924.
November.
Uh-huh. November of 24.
The last one, yeah, November 24.
Okay.
And then, of course, I went right to my mother's. And
Right.
I had
She
relatives.
was staying in Weeack.
Oh, she
I
had
think I
friends.
see Mom, my mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But I didn't tell you about finish my train trip out of Spokane.
Okay.
I came down through Kendrick, June.
Yes.
You know, to Darrah Junction.
Oh, yes.
And then the train came up from Lewiston, and we changed trains at Arrow Junction. And a bunch of Indians got on, and I was just about half sick by that long ride, you know. And here they got on, and they had windows all down and their blankets around them, and I didn't.
You probably were you a little bit fearful? Had you
Oh,
probably never
yeah.
seen any Indians
Oh,
before?
no, and scared. I was afraid to talk to anybody. I didn't even come across the country. As we come through across that northern, you know,
Mm-hmm.
why there was game and
Had to
wild
be like a
animals.
whole different world.
Yeah, but I was scared
Well,
to
we should
death.
introduce June to the picture. This is E. June Snyder.
That's
E.
it.
June Brown Snyder.
That's right.
Wife of Milton L.
Snyder,
and son of 4 sons.
and mother of
Brent,
Brent.
you name them all.
Brent and Craig and Mark and Matt. And grandmother of Micah.
Yeah,
And this is great-grandmother of Micah.
yeah.
Micah,
Right.
Patlin,
Pritchard
Pritchard, Snyder.
Snyder. That's right.
Right. So we got a Pritchard name in the family.
I think he's taking a nap, isn't he?
Right.
Yeah, we can't disturb him.
Yeah, we can't disturb her.
We're going
right
back
now.
up the third grade.
Well, yeah.
Okay, then you went
No.
from Merrill Junction, then you went to,
And there was some guy got in the back seat, you know, but this Carl Pease put me right in the front seat with him. And everybody took care of me. You know, I look back on it now and I say,
you're a young girl.
yeah, and everybody took care of me.
Think about it, isn't that nice?
And I think about it now, whether they would do that now or not.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, just whether they would do it or now or not. Strangers that,
You bet, you bet. But it's amazing, I think, when you really need the support and help, and you're vulnerable, I think that's when people do help, and you did,
yeah.
and people came through.
When we first got to Lincoln, Nebraska, Tori and I, we went right to the YWCA and got a job. And I went to the YMCA, or YWCA, and he went to YMCA. And the YMCA had a great big place, so we went to work. And everybody there took care of me.
Yeah.
And took care of Tori. I know one day I had a headache, and I would never forget that. And I said, I got a headache, and one of the fellows gave me an aspirin. And there was an older lady working there, and remember, said, are you sure you give that girl an aspirin?
Oh, she was watching out
And
for
she
you.
was taking care of me, and I think now how wonderful it would be if people were that way today. Because
That's pretty special.
that was special, yes. I imagine they would if we just knew.
Oh, I think so. I think a lot of people help, help
right.
out.
But it was kind of funny, you know, you think a little, everybody up there came through the town of Kendrick. John, you're
Came in
right.
on that train.
They came, John Snyder and Charlie Long and Bertman Deaver, they all came to Kendrick, and they went over the hill to Orphic.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah, see?
Up through Cavendish.
Yeah.
So they got off at Kendrick then,
Yeah, they got off at
Oh,
Kendrick.
rather than
see.
going to Errol.
Oh, no, they got off at Kendrick
Right.
and went
I
over the
see.
hill in
Right.
wagons.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why Kendrick was such an important area.
Kendrick.
Well,
was
it's a
an
railroad
important-
town.
And it still is.
Yeah.
Kendrick, Idaho.
Thank you.
June's hometown.
Yeah, but I mean, that was the hub of, now whenever Milton and I went to get married, you know, we didn't go down the road you go now. We had a long trip to Lewiston.
Right.
Down, you even dropped down to Agatha, you know?
Yes.
And down there, you crossed the bridge, and then up around the hill, oh, I'd have to even show you. There's houses built up there now.
Where the road used to be.
Yeah.
That you had to take.
Yeah, to get to
It had to
Lewiston.
be. How long would it take that way to get?
Well, it was quite a little trip.
I
We
imagine.
went up that mountain and down that mountain, and none of that river road was built. We crossed it at Cherry Lane, went down the spur of
Cherry
Myrtle Beach. You know, remember that bridge
I remember that.
that was there? They've
Very-
taken it out
Very
now.
well, you
We
bet.
crossed that bridge, going toward Lewiston, and then up against that hill, and oh, that was a narrow had cinders in it and rocks.
Okay, I'm going to switch you up to the ranch. First place you bought was on the Lolo.
Yeah,
The farm
yeah,
after
right.
you got married.
Yeah, right. We bought the old Walter Van Devener place.
That's about where?
120 acres. It's just
It's
about, it's what, 3 miles. It's at the 3 mile corner this way from
and about,
and about 3 mile in.
well, it's about a mile from the old OK schoolhouse site,
Well, not that. Well, yeah.
which is not
that.
there now, but it was that
Yeah.
site. So it's
Right.
about, is it 1 mile or 2 miles from the highway?
Oh, yeah.
At the 3 mile
Yeah,
corner?
Yeah, it's about 2.5.
2.5 miles, okay.
Right.
And then after
And it was 120 acres.
you sold that,
No, we bought the other place over on the highway,
oh, you did.
because you worked on that ranch, didn't you? When you first come to the country.
Right.
I
Oh,
know,
yeah.
but I know, I remember.
And
But
then we bought 80 acres
You bought 80 acres on the, what was it called?
It was called the old,
Mickelson?
oh, what do we call that? You said that, changed my mind. We bought 80 acres just off the highway at the 5-mile corner.
5 miles.
Because your grandfather lived at the 4-mile corner, right?
Right.
And After Place, we called
After
it.
place, uh-huh.
Because After owned it.
It's now the first highway, or the first road
Past the park,
past the park,
going toward,
leading north.
going toward Weah.
Yeah, going toward Weah, it's the first road leading, okay, it's up there on the side of the hill.
As you turn left.
Right,
Yeah.
going north. Uh-huh.
And then we bought 80 acres to join it. So there was 160 there.
Right.
But then we sold the Lolo Ranch, which is just as well. You couldn't own anything up there. Now I shouldn't say this for history.
That's okay.
Well, some people think you can because they're still living up there
Well,
and
yeah,
farming.
but they're there. They're there with it. I think you would have to be with it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, you couldn't live down, not have buildings on it and everything.
Right.
You know,
You have to live on it.
you'd have to live there, take care of it. Yes. June, you can.
How many first cousins of yours are living, and where are they? That would be first cousins of yours. Well, your brothers and sisters first. You mentioned them down to Tallahassee. Name the others.
Well, then Sheldon, no, wait, down to the, there was Heisel. Now I corrected this. Heisel was the first. Castle Howden was the second. I was the third, and I was born Mary Alice. And I made it out Marie, you know, because the records were all Marie. And then Tori Ison. And then Tallahassee. And those two girls were dead, so that left me the oldest girl. And they were buried, as I said, at Oxford.
Okay.
And then,
They died as young babies.
yeah, babies, about 3 months old. And then Sheldon Schofield. And then Clara Hillis was the next. And then Walter Gordon Quayle was born. And then Anna, Jessie, Blanche Agatha, and Spike Philippe.
Is the baby.
Yeah.
Did you mention Tori?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Tori was next to me. And Mama had about every 2 years.
And that was a total of how many children?
11.
11.
mentioned Gordon Quayle.
Walter Gordon Quayle. Yeah, he was the youngest boy, but then there was 3 girls after him. You see, there was 11 of us.
11.
There's 7 of us. Yeah.
Right.
2 died as babies, which left 9.
Right.
And Castle and Tori had passed away.
Right.
I just, you know. But, so, best you can tell your histories, you guys. Okay,
What else
you were born
can
on
you
the
think of?
Lolo. Hey, you were born on the Lolo. And,
Oh, first of all, I didn't ask you about where you went to high school.
oh.
School.
Hey, I went to high school. Well, let's see. I started in Oakland, Maryland.
What was that?
Oakland, Maryland.
Oakland,
Uh-huh.
Maryland.
There's just about 5 miles across the West Virginia border. My father was a minister in Deer Park, and we took the train down to Oakland to school.
Okay, then where else?
Well, you know, this is kind of sudden. I went to so many schools. I tell you.
Could be.
Yeah. Okay. And then I went to, I'm quite sure, I went to Fairmont to school. Fairmont High
School.
East High.
Yeah, Fairmont, West Virginia.
Yeah, East High. And then we went to Manchester, Iowa. Now, you're talking about high schools.
Right.
Yeah.
And schools.
Oh, I'd had to start out real early on schools.
Mm-hmm.
That's just high school.
You remember when you started school in the first grade?
Yeah,
Did you have kindergarten?
no.
Okay.
Wick, Iowa.
Kindergarten.
Wick, Iowa. Al and I went in there one time.
Is that Wick, Iowa? I didn't
Then-
realize you got
then
that
where?
far.
Oh, yeah, Wick, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And then to Ainsworth, Nebraska.
Is that far from Lincoln, or?
Well,
Isn't that
it's up in the northern western part. Lincoln is just not too far out of Omaha,
Right.
on the eastern border. And this, I'm talking about grade school now.
Right.
And,
You might just set a record here.
oh, I tell you. Al and I get to talking about how many schools we went to.
You went to a few too, huh? Al?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
we just...
A couple?
Now, I went to Clarksburg High School.
Clarksburg.
I also then finished up at Grand Tower, Illinois. That was
Where
the
did
last
you
place.
graduated in Grand
A
Tower?
lot of
Grand
states,
Tower,
too.
Illinois.
Graduated, you walk across stage? Do you remember?
Yeah. I graduated in Grand Tower.
And you have your diploma?
No, don't. You know what happened to all my school records?
What?
I shouldn't tell it for a record.
Well, if it's the truth.
Anne got into all my papers
She
and
did?
took my papers and then passed herself off as Marie.
You're kidding. I
Oh.
never heard that one.
You know where the, so you lost your diploma.
Oh, yeah. I don't have any, I don't even have any school grades. She took, it just got into them there at the Opera House.
You decided she needed the identification.
Yeah. And we didn't get wise to it until we were up at the dance one night and the guys were all bidding Marie goodbye. Oh, Milton just had a fit. You know, here she was.
For goodness sake.
Oh, she was a,
For she was on the road there,
oh,
wasn't she?
yeah.
Okay.
Grand Tower, Illinois. Well, then I said, but grade school,
So it's,
I went to a lot of different schools.
In a lot of different states.
Yeah, in a lot of different states.
I
your
didn't quite
dad
realize
was
so
born
many states.
on what date? Your
Uh,
dad.
Oh, April the 22nd, 1876,
Okay, and your mother?
in Ritchie County.
Ritchie County,
Yeah,
West Virginia.
West Virginia. And my mother was born April the 5th, same as Brent, in 1885.
In Dry Fork.
And yeah, I'll drive for a car at Job.
Job,
Job, West Virginia. Her dad owned the ranch, or the farm that Job was built on. And that's in the a history of Pendleton, isn't it? Pendleton County, and that's Pendleton.
Or Randolph?
Or Randolph, I don't know which. But it's right out of Harmon. You know,
Right.
it's, it was 9 years too. But I think of Al and I get to thinking about how many times we changed school. Oh, I went to school in Elkins High School.
Elkins High School.
Elkins,
Elkins,
West Virginia, you betcha. And I had used to have a lot of relatives around there. Still
Around
have.
Elkins.
Still have. Jordan's.
That's really a nice town. I really like Elkins.
Let's see again, the names of your mother's parents. Would you just,
Adonijah, Jordan,
Jordan and the mother,
and Amanda
Nelson.
Nelson, Jordan.
Yes.
Now, she was a Nelson, and
Okay.
that's where when Grandma died, she was getting up toward 80, but her mother was alive then.
Okay, then your dad's mother.
Well, I said that, Amanda Lawson.
Oh, yes, I was thinking of your mother. I'm mixed up right now.
Yeah, Lawson. So Al says I have a little bit of sweet in me from
Well,
a
you
Lawson and a Nelson both.
Well, you said Anadija Jordan, and then you went to the Nelsons.
Well, my grandmother, he married Amanda
Nelson.
Nelson.
That was on your mother's side.
Yeah, that's
But
my
your
mother's
dad's
parents.
side, your dad's side.
Was Lawson.
Okay.
Yeah, Lawson. She was a Lawson.
So what was her first name, your dad's mother?
My dad's mother was Amanda. They're both in
Amanda.
the same.
Okay. And your dad's dad was Thomas.
Thomas, yeah.
And what was Thomas's
And
dad?
then Peter, you know.
Peter.
Peter? Peter.
Oh, Peter.
Was Thomas's dad.
Peter, yeah.
Right. And they're both buried at the
At that time?
at that cemetery. Peter and Thomas.
Yeah, right.
Right. Okay.
Okay. They aren't wasting film.
Okay, why don't we
Okay.